Welcome back. You're still watching Market View. Excitement is building ahead of the highly anticipated Eswatini Investment Conference happening this Wednesday and Thursday. How many companies are set to pitch their investment plans for the kingdom? And with Eswatini still importing 80% of its electricity, a crucial factor for investors, how will the country position itself to attract high-value investments? We speak with Martin Masilila, Executive Head of Investment Promotion at the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, to unpack these questions and explore the country's investment outlook.
Welcome to Market View. We know that it's all systems go for the investment conference. We saw the CEO was on our sister show this morning. But what we want to find out on Market View is the issue of the investors. How many investors are we expecting in this conference that's tomorrow?
Okay, the participants are actually divided into two. I'm talking about the investors themselves. So the first one is a group of investors whose projects have been screened already. So it's a process that started sometime last year with a group of ministers just to screen the projects that we believe that they've got a high impact in the economy. So they vary across different sectors: your energy sector, your manufacturing, your agriculture, as well as your agro-processing. So we believe that those are projects that could probably require skilled individuals, and with respect to your remuneration and compensation, I think they will be relatively above your normal textile projects, or rather companies. So the idea is that we want to diversify. I mean, predominantly in the past we've been focusing. In fact, textile has been one of the easiest in terms of attraction. But now we're actually looking at diversifying. In fact, we are undertaking diversification, intentional diversification, to look at other sectors beyond textile, like your agro-processing. There are big projects that are coming up in the country, such as the Mkonvongwavuma water augmentation projects that are implemented by EWADE. So the idea is that we will set up, through government support, obviously, an agro-industrial park that will basically do a processing of some of the agricultural products that are coming out from those projects. And of course, similarly, we will be, I think, through the ministry or the minister, Honorable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy, will be highlighting some opportunities within the mining sector. And as you know, Eswatini just completed the electromagnetic study that was looking at what minerals we have in the country, and we'll be unveiling some of those opportunities during the conference. The second group is basically those that are invited. And obviously, within our invite, we were open. Like I've said, we want to blend between the global investors or people coming from outside the country together with the locals. So we basically have those in participation. So we're looking at numbers on about 400 to 500 people that will be attending the conference.
The business community is very excited about this conference. They say that it is going to change the economic landscape of the country, but their concern is that Eswatini still imports most of its electricity from other countries, South Africa, Mozambique. We import about 80% of our electricity in the country. So they are saying that there's a need to invest in electricity so that we can attract the high value investors. How have you looked at that? How are you going to work around that as you try to attract investors into the country?
Now, that's a very good question that you're asking. Thankfully, some of the projects that will be unveiled during the conference, they are for power generation, most particularly in the solar or the PV solar. You'll note that government has been driving the renewable energy procurement program, and some of those companies have been licensed, so they will be unveiling their projects during the conference. So we've got a number of them that will be coming on board to unveil the projects in the conference. So we believe that in as much as we currently rely on imported power, but over the long term, or the medium to long term, we will reduce reliance on imported power while we're increasing steadily our generation capacity.
We have also spoken to ESHEC, the Eswatini Higher Education Council. Their recent study continues to say that the country has skills mismatch. So as you attract these investors, have you looked into ensuring that there are skills to ensure the projects la better now ayakhona ukuthi achubeke asebende nemaswati abhadalwe kahle ungakhanzi kokuthi emaswati sekabhadalwa kancane ngendzaba yokuthi mhlawumbe nalama skills that are being offered to these investors are not actually what they want.
The narrative on skills mismatch, thankfully, we're just talking with the International Labour Organization not long ago, trying to, get into the details of that issue. It is true that it is there, but I believe that, companies can and should play a very important role in as far as upskilling our people is concerned. Through apprentices and apprenticeship programs, as well as their attachments.
What I want to know is when an investor says, I want to start maybe next month, what is it that you are going to do working with the different institutions to ensure that that investor gets the right skills in the country?
Thankfully, I have been an HR before, and I started with a multinational company from scratch that was looking for technical skills. It's all about formulating some strategic partnerships with the technical universities and the colleges. For instance, we went to some of the colleges, we set up some interviews, we recruited from there, both written as well as practical interviews. So I believe that if they follow that route, they'll definitely find what they are looking for. I mean, those people, they do keep the database of students that have graduated from their colleges. So I believe that skills are there. It's a question of how to get it. And I think I've just highlighted one of the ways in which startup companies can actually get those people.
Can we remind the viewer at home, Mr. Masilela, on why this conference is very important to Eswatini? How is it going to change the economic landscape and bring job opportunities for Eswatini?
This conference is very strategic. First and foremost, it will highlight the significance of Eswatini as an investment destination of choice. Remember that we will be having investors from across the globe. So it will give the picture of Eswatini being a ready destination for investors. And then number two, remember that we are fighting unemployment. Like you've correctly said, we also need to measure the magnitude and the impact in terms of unemployment alleviation, in Eswatini. So this, the implementation of these projects that will be unveiled during the conference will basically give us some measures as well as some indicators if all is actually implemented according to the plan. And number three, we're talking about capital contribution into the economy of Eswatini. You recall that the projected economic growth for 2025, I think it's just above 8%. And investment is actually one of the greatest contributors if you look at the measures of GDP. And also number four, we are looking at the creation of opportunities for the small and the medium companies. Remember that we are doing, we're ensuring that there is a link both from the forward as well as the backward link, for purposes of supplies, for purposes of distribution, in creating opportunities for the small and the medium guys, out there. So when a big project sets up, you'll find that it will basically require some inputs with respect to, for instance, some supplies such as transport, sometimes raw materials that may be available locally. So basically creating space for the small and the medium companies by implementing the big projects.
I'm glad you are touching the issue of small and medium enterprises. It has been said that they are the engine of the country's economy. So how have you catered for them in this conference? Ngiyabona lokho ukuthi ngathi vele kutabosondo nzima kepha ke bona engabe bavumelekile yini kuba ingcenye yale conference le?
Obviously, I think registration is open to everyone that is able to, participate in the, in the conference. Ideally, we do want to ensure that we integrate the small and the medium enterprises from an inclusive economic development point of view. I can't mention the fact that there will be a special conference, I think you might have seen from the Ministry Strategic Framework, that there will be a conference focusing on the small and the medium. But in this conference, it's open to everyone that wants to participate. And I think it's also a very good learning field for the small and the medium companies, just to know how to pitch a project. Remember that during this announcement, they'll be given very limited time, but they have to announce a project covering all the important components of that project within that short space of time. So I think for them, they'll also have some learnings with respect to pitching a project to potential investors or potential funders in the future.
Before we end the interview, Mr. Mafilela, I want us to hype the different businesses just to create more interest in this conference. I won't ask you to mention which companies will be presenting during the investment conference, but I want you maybe to tell us how many companies are you expecting to make their presentations.
Well, we're looking at probably around about 12 projects that will be announced during the conference. In fact, those were the initial ones that passed. Remember that we screened more than 30 projects, but we have those that did not qualify from the metrics that were put in place. So these list of projects, it might increase a bit. We believe that they cover various sectors: your energy, manufacturing, agriculture, agribusiness. So they actually vary in different sectors. And most of them, they're actually within the priority sectors that government has put in place, as key sectors that would drive economic growth.
This has been very insightful. You are saying that about 12 companies will make their presentations during the investment conference. You are saying that these companies have been screened. Out of 30, these are the ones that came out tops, because you want to ensure that Eswatini attracts high-value investors. Siyabonga kakhulu kuba nathi ka-Market View lamuhla, Mr. Masilela.
That was Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla speaking to the Executive Head of Investment Promotion at APA. We now quickly go